CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
U.S. investigators say the Royal Canadian Navy's use of sonar is likely not linked to the death of a baby orca. The U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA as it's known, has been investigating the death of 3-year-old L-112, also known as Sook. The killer whale washed ashore in February in Washington. It happened at about the same time that HMCS Ottawa was conducting sonar exercises and setting off underwater charges in the Juan de Fuca Strait. The initial necropsy showed that the whale died of massive trauma. Speculation that the military's sonar played a role in its death. NOAA says the death of the whale is unusual, but the orca probably died near the mouth of the Columbia River on the Washington-Oregon border, and then the carcass drifted ashore. It is awards season already, and we are very proud to tell you tonight about the latest honors for CTV Vancouver Island. We have received another great news award, the coveted Edward R. Murrow Award for Best Investigative Reporting. The story that won the Murrow this year is Dumpster Documents, a CTV News investigation into the dumping of confidential documents from the Ministry of Children and Families into a dumpster outside a Saanich apartment building. It was recognized as Best Investigative Reporting by the Radio Television Digital News Association, the RTDNA. This is our 23rd coveted Murrow Award that we've won since 2004. This weekend we pick up 3 more Canadian RTDNA regional awards, including Best Newscast. They are the only television awards presented on Vancouver Island this year by the RTDNA. And our colleagues at CFAX 1070 have picked up a pair, a Radio Murrow for Best Continuing Coverage and a Byron McGregor Award for Best Radio Newscast, and we congratulate them as well. And we thank you for being here. Well, there's a new improved healthcare system coming to Nanaimo, a first aid station that's rolling out in the Harbour City. BC Ambulance Service handed over the keys to the mobile first aid station to St. John's Ambulance Service today. The unit will serve as an on-street first aid treatment center at big events rather than transporting patients from one place to another. However, St. John says it can still be used as an ambulance in the case of a major emergency.
Primarily, we use it in the brigade for a first aid mobile post. We go to events such as the dragon boat races or the bathtub races. That's those kind of events, and especially when there's a lot of them, so that we have all our equipment on hand. If there was ever a huge event, as in earthquake and all sorts of things really going wrong, the ambulance service may request to use this because it's still set up as such.
The old St. John Mobile First Aid Station owes nothing. It's being returned to the BC Ambulance Service for disposition. Now, the federal government's reaching out to those with disabilities, helping them stay active in their community. Through the Government of Canada's Enabling Fund, 188 new projects are being kicked off to improve accessibility for people who are living with disability. The announcement was made at the Blanchard Community Centre in Victoria this morning. More than $6 million is going to go towards installing interactive speech devices, wheelchair ramps and elevator lifts that will help Canadians with disabilities to access more facilities and programs here and across the country.
I think it's exceptionally important that individuals with disabilities feel that they are part of their community and that they can contribute to Canada's economy. You know, there's a wealth of knowledge out there amongst individuals that may have the smallest of disabilities, but they just don't have access to a workplace or just have access to a community centre. We want to make sure that every Canadian feels that they can be a meaningful part of Canadian society and their local community.
In 2010, the Downtown Victoria Blanchard Advisory Committee received more than $50,000 through the federal government's Enabling Accessibility Plan. Use that money to build a new playground that's getting plenty of use. Some encouraging news tonight for BC's economy. The province's AAA credit rating has been upheld by the credit rating agencies Standard & Poor's and Moody's Investor Services. Those agencies say the province earned high marks for good financial management, efforts to reduce debt, and to diversify the economy. Finance Minister Kevin Falcon says the affirmation sends a powerful message to investors and the investment community that BC is a safe harbour for new investment and for job creation as well. Well, if you're south of the Malahat, your lights probably went out for a while this afternoon. A major power outage hit southern Vancouver Island at about 10 to 3. BC Hydro thought at first it was caused by a failure in a transmission circuit. Turns out it was lightning in the Duncan area that knocked the lights out to 160,000 Hydro customers from Sydney to Victoria. A dramatic rescue played out in the waters off Tofino when a fisherman was found clinging to his boat after spending 12 hours in the water. The Cayucot man was found just before 1 o'clock this morning, hanging onto his overturned boat 5 kilometers from the shore near Lookout Island. He had gone out Wednesday morning to set some long lines and never returned. A number of vessels began the search in the area. The Coast Guard, a Buffalo aircraft, and a Cormorant helicopter from CFB Comox were dispatched. The 19-wing crew in the Buffalo spotted the man. He was picked up by one of the search vessels okay, but suffering from hypothermia. The Oceanside area is seeing a rash of thefts from vehicles these days. The crime spree began over the Easter long weekend, and it's been happening ever since. RCMP say items are being stolen from vehicles all over the Qualicum and Parksville areas, usually in the middle of the night. Police say in every case, valuables had been left inside the car in plain view.
Some of the vehicles have been left unlocked. Others have had windows smashed. But what is consistent is that there's stuff laying around in the vehicles that's, I guess, would attract these thieves, such as computers, equipment like that, loose change, and items like sunglasses or valuables of any nature.
Police cannot say for sure if the thefts are being committed by the same person or people, but they say most of these thefts are preventable, and they urge you to remove all valuables out of your vehicle, lock it up tight, no matter where you are or when you are parking it. Hepatitis A clinics are being held up and down Vancouver Island tomorrow and on Saturday for anybody who might have eaten Western Family brand Palmaberry blend frozen berries over the past 2 weeks. The BC Centre for Disease Control issued the health alert last week that the product had been recalled because of a hepatitis A risk. The clinics began today and they'll continue tomorrow from noon till 3 and Saturday from 2 to 5 at the Public Health Unit on Cook Street in Victoria. The health advisory is only for the Western Family brand Palmaberry blend frozen berries, sold at Save-On Foods and Overweighty food stores.
And so if you think you had that product and consumed it within the last 14 days, you could benefit from a hepatitis shot. And so that what we're suggesting and asking the public is to, one, basically think back. The 14 days is critical because I ate it a month ago. The vaccine's not going to, or the immunization is not going to help you. But if it's been in the last 14 days, you're certainly welcome to come forward to any of the public health clinics on the island. And certainly
those clinics will be held at the Campbell River Health Unit from noon until 3 tomorrow and then from 2 until 5 Saturday. In Nanaimo, they'll be held at the Grant Avenue Health Unit from noon till 3 tomorrow and 2 to 5 on Saturday. Hundreds of people gathered at John Barsby Secondary School in Nanaimo today to see how their donations have helped to support students right across the Nanaimo Ladysmith School District. This was the 9th annual Donor Appreciation Tea hosted by the Nanaimo Ladysmith Schools Foundation. It supports students from kindergarten through post-secondary in the district. The region has one of the highest rates of child poverty anywhere in British Columbia.
We've now got a community board, and that community board raises funds and runs programs in the school district that covers both basic needs for needy students and vulnerable students, and all of the scholarships and awards for those students going on to post-secondary. We feel if we can keep them in school and give them an incentive to go on, we have better citizens.
And it's working. The foundation provides money for everything from school supplies to hot lunches and post-secondary scholarships, and many young people have benefited as a result.